Hi, my name is Odemi Pesu, and I am the author of Force of Nature. So, welcome to the second episode of ORITSÉ TV. This is essentially maybe it's not a series, a platform where I will be talking about not only my book, Force of Nature, but also the different thematic elements that inspired me to write the book in the first place. And also just sharing some of my thoughts on societal issues that affect modern, young African women. So if any of that is of interest to you, I would encourage you to go on Amazon, order a copy of Force of Nature. So today I will be talking about sexual agency as it pertains to modern, young Nigerian women, because our culture really has done a number on us. It has done a number on us by telling us that our sensuality belongs to everyone but us. A lot of times sexuality is demonized from a very young age. It's not really this discussion of, oh no, you shouldn't enter experiences that you're not ready for emotionally. No, it's always oh no, you need to keep your legs closed because what if you meet a man and he needs you to be a virgin? Or, oh no, God says that you will die if you have sex. I've literally had a pastor tell me that before. And I'm just like, enough is enough, because literally your womb space is one of the most sacred parts of your body, where your sexuality, your creativity, your sensuality, your ability to birth new imaginings of what your life can be, it all rests right here, baby. It all rests right there in your womb. And I just feel that it is very dangerous to not only live in a society that tells us that it is wrong to honor that part of ourselves, but it's also very counterintuitive to encourage women to navigate through intimate relationships without feeling a sense of ownership of a sacred part of themselves. Like, we talk about sexual agency and sexual liberation very differently in Western cultures versus traditional Nigerian cultures. But I know that Nigerians are so hypocritical when it comes to sexual expression between men and women. Women are not allowed to enjoy sex or physical intimacy of any kind if it is not with their husband. Meanwhile, these small boys will be just romancing everybody that they come in contact with, and it's never a problem. And so this video isn't really telling you when to have sex or, how to have sex. It's not really that kind of video. It's just more so me encouraging us to approach the conversation of sexual agency from a lens that positions intimacy at the forefront. So at Brown, they had these counselors called women's peer counselors. And I was one during my junior year. And I remember what I loved about the position was that it gave me an opportunity to really learn about healthy dynamics, healthy, intimate relationships, and how to cultivate that. And what I found was that in order to really cultivate that sexual liberation for yourself, you have to take the time to be vulnerable with yourself, to be intimate with yourself. How many of you can really answer these questions? What are your sexual needs? What makes you feel sensual? What makes you feel satisfied sexually? How do you communicate those needs to your sexual partners? Do you feel safe? Do you feel seen? Do you feel desired in your sexual experiences? And honestly, I don't know why we don't encourage women to ponder those questions instead of just wagging a finger at them and saying, oh, no, that's wrong. You cannot be sensual. You can't be charming. You can't be flirtatious. I remember when I was younger and my body started changing, puberty, all of that. And that is when I really started experiencing this demonization of sexuality at a very young age, when I wasn't even thinking about sex, and that wasn't even on my mind. And I was like 13, and I just remember aunties saying, oh, your pants are too tight. It's a distraction to men, this, and this. And it was very, harmful, you know? And I think it's very backwards, because I think that woman, our charm, our sensuality, our sexuality holds a lot of weight and holds a lot of power, you know? Look at somebody like Esther. The story of Esther. You'd think if she wasn't a fine girl married to the king, that her people wouldn't have been executed, you know? And she was able to use that charm and own her intuition and own her creativity to come up with a plan to save her people. And I think that we overlook a lot of ways that sensuality is actually a good thing. And it's actually great for women to lean into that. And it doesn't necessarily have to involve somebody else. So that is really what I talked about a lot in my first chapter of my book, Water. There were a few steamy poems, I'm not even gonna lie. But in the chapter Water, I really just talked about love and intimacy and how important it is to cultivate that within yourself, and how beautiful it is to share that in a healthy way with somebody who cares about you, with somebody who sees you. I don't think that, you know, young African girls are really ever taught to view ourselves as objects of affection, truly. We're not really encouraged to sit with ourselves and to just love on ourselves, you know? And I think that self-love and sexual agency and, you know, that level of mindfulness, it's all intertwined. And in order to really decolonize your mind, your body, and your spirit in a holistic way, we have to sit and ask ourselves, what stories are we telling ourselves about actions and about feelings that are literally natural to us? And how are we allowing those stories to hinder us from ascending into a more liberated mindset? And this isn't saying, oh yeah, wear less clothing or be more raunchy or increase your sexual partners. No, this is saying take time to really listen to your body. What does your body need? Do you actually need physical touch? Do you need emotional intimacy? The answer is probably yes, but we all need it in different ways. And taking time to understand what your needs are is far better than, you know, competing with somebody's son on how emotionally unavailable you can be. Hiding the fact that you do enjoy emotional intimacy actually hurts you in the long run, because it's that vulnerability, it's that permission that you give yourself to feel those intense feelings and emotions that will carry you forward. And so I think that, you know, sacral chakra healing, that is right here, your sacral chakra, it's really important. It's literally the center of creativity and life, if you ask me. That is an area that becomes blocked when you hinder yourself from feeling those sensual feelings, when you hinder yourself from feeling those sexual feelings, when you hinder yourself from embracing your sensuality. So I bet you're listening and you're like, okay, so what do I do if I don't know how to do that? You know what? I got you. First, read Force of Nature. Shameless plug, read my book. But next, there are a few things that you can do. First, you have to sit down and ask yourself, how do I feel about sex? What emotions do I associate with the act, with the subject matter? You know, sit and understand your feelings about it, because a lot of us have been indoctrinated from such a young age to demonize sex and sexuality that it's actually kind of like scary sometimes to engage with it in a objective way, where you're just literally just trying to understand how you feel about it and what you want from it. And then I would say the next thing is to do some affirmations, kind of like rewiring your mindset to align with something new. So I have a few sacral chakra healing affirmations that I want to share with you. And I talk a lot about finding spiritual liberation from, you know, embracing your emotional vulnerability. And this is a part of that. There are a lot of intense emotions that people associate with sex. I mean, hello, we literally have laws that try to control how women engage with their sexuality. It's a contentious issue, and I want to challenge us to just view sex for what it is, a beautiful opportunity for two people to, you know, share themselves with each other. And I think that if more women took the time to understand their feelings and their needs, they may actually find that there are some people in their lives that they're entertaining sexually that need to go. You know, this is not the time for trauma bonds. This is not the time for emotional manipulation. I'm telling y'all, we are on a cusp of a divine feminine revolution. And in order to be a part of that, you have to take ownership of your sexuality, babes. You have to do it. Please stop giving the ownership to these useless men, to these manipulative pastors. Yes, I said it. Somebody will get mad, but I don't really care. Because the time is now to really hone and cultivate that power that we have within us. And I meet a lot of women who are like, oh, you know, Demi, I don't know how you do it. I'm not creative at all. And I'm like, we're all creative. We're literally born creators. I think taking time to honor your sacral chakra and taking time to love on it and do exercises like yoga, like dancing, like taking warm baths. You know, these are all things that you can do to cultivate that sense of sensual pleasure in your life. Because guess what? Sex doesn't always have to be tied to having children. You were not necessarily put on this earth just to reproduce. Like, guys, come on. So I want you to see that you can do all that you want to do. You can have children. You can create the life that you want. You can create the art that you want. You can explore the subject matter that you want to explore. You can have all of these experiences, but you can only do that when you pause and say, hey, I take ownership of what I do with my body. I take ownership of who interacts with my body. Okay, so to close us out here, I have 5 affirmations written down here that you can do daily, you can do once a week. So here goes. First affirmation, I deserve, and I want you to repeat after me. You know, even if you're watching and you're like, I'm not gonna say this, just say it in your mind. But the first one, I deserve to experience pleasure and have my needs met. I feel safe to express my sexual self in creative, fun, and healthy ways. My body is a vibrant work of art, and I feel comfortable and safe inside of it. I attract love. I am love. I embrace change, and I make the best of my future. So, I hope that these affirmations can help you learn how to love that part of yourself that we are often told to be ashamed of, or we're told to hide. We're taught to demonize it from a very, very young age. And I want us to undo that. It's definitely what I would call intergenerational trauma. A lot of us have inherited certain ideas about sex and sexual pleasure from women who were not living in a time where women could freely explore themselves. We are living in a time where we definitely do have more freedoms. There are still those attacks on them, but I would say that we have a lot of choice and we have a lot of agency. So you have to pause and ask yourself, if I have the choice, why am I giving it to somebody else? That's my question for you. So I want you to think about that this week, you know. So those are my thoughts on the subject matter. I mean, obviously this is not the first time I'm going to talk about this. I'm telling y'all, I got a whole book of things to talk about. But in the meantime, if you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to share it with somebody that you know wants to hear what I have to say, or share it with somebody that you know would resonate with the message. Because on ORITSÉ TV, I am talking to women who want to be in charge of their intellectual freedom, their creative freedom, their sexual freedom, their financial freedom. I'm talking to the Renaissance women of our day and age and my African girls. I love us. I really do. And we have to be intentional about undoing that harm, that emotional harm, that spiritual harm that has been enacted against us for so long. And we have the power to overcome it. And I just want you to know that. So I'm gonna wrap this video up, but thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, bye.